Good day, everyone, especially to you, Sir Anthony Gamali. By the way, my name is Erwin De Rola Salas, BS Cream T 3, Section A. Today, I will discuss the chapter for tackling about drugs. So first, let us tackle what is drug. Drug is a chemical substance that brings about physical, psychological, behavioral, or psychological change in a person taking it. All medicine are drugs, but not all drugs are medicine. So it means that medicines are generally are not addicted in nature. Unlike drugs, medicines are made for the treatment of particular disease, while drug is often considered as neurotic or stimulant hallucinogen. So not all medicine are drugs, and not all medicine and not all drugs are medicine. Same like marijuana. Same like marijuana. It is a medicine, but the use of the person, they abuse the marijuana to use. There are types of drugs. First is medicinal drugs. Drugs is a substance which, when taken into the human body, cure illness and relieve symptoms of disease. For example, Alaxan. Alaxan is a medicine curing your body aches or body pain. Another example is Biogesic. Biogesic is used to cure your fever and headache. Those are the examples of medicinal drugs. Second type of drugs. Second is dangerous drugs. It is a substance affecting the central nervous system, much when taken into the human body, bring about physical, emotional, behavioral changes in the persons taking it. Example of this is dangerous drugs like methamphetamine, hydrochloride, or shabu. It causes mental illness, behavioral, affecting your behavioral actions, and many more. So let's proceed to drug abuse. So what is drug abuse? Drug abuse is any non-medical use of drugs that cause physical, psychological, legal, economic, or social damage to the user, to people affected by the user behavior. So, drug abuse is the person who taking drugs and abuses it and it can cause to affect the other people of his behavior. There are classification of drugs. First is unnatural drugs. Unnatural drugs are active ingredients as secondary metabolic products of plants and other living systems that may be isolated by extraction. First example is raw opium. Opium, or narcotic drug that is obtained from the unripe seed pods. of the opium poppy or Pipiver somniferum, a plant of the family Piperavaceae. This raw opium may be ground into a powder or sold as lumps, cakes, or bricks, or treated further obtain derivatives such as morphine, codeine, and heroin. Second example is marijuana. Cannabis, also known as marijuana, among others name, is a psychoactive drug from the cannabis plant. The effect of cannabis or marijuana are caused by chemical compounds of the cannabis plant, including 400 different cannabinoids, such as tetrahydrocannabinol, which allow its drug to have various psychological and psychological effects on the human body. It will get so high. So the natural drugs is the natural drugs that we can find in our backyards. Sample like marijuana. It's easy to plant. Second classification of drugs is synthetic drugs. Synthetic drugs are artificially produced substance synthesized in the laboratory for the illicit market, which are almost wholly manufactured from chemical compounds in illicit laboratories. First example is methamphetamine. It's a synthetic drug with more rapid and lasting effect, used illegally as a stimulant and as a prescription drug to treat narcolepsy and maintain blood pressure. So, what is methamphetamine? It is a shabu. It can affect you it can awake you 24 hours. Second example is barbiturates, are groups of drugs in the classes of drugs known as sedative hypnotics, which generally describe their sleeping inducing and anxiety decreasing effects. Barbiturates can be extremely dangerous because the correct dose is difficult to predict. Even a slight or overdose can cause coma or death. So barbiturates are the chemical drugs that difficult to predict. It can cause overdose or coma or death and going to death. So there are pharmacological classification effects. First is stimulants, hallucinogens. Third is depressant. Fourth is inhalants. Stimulants are drugs which increase alertness of physical disposition. So example is shabu or amphetamine. Street name: eye opener, lead poppers, or pip pills, uppers or hearts. So what it is? So it is reduces appetite, relieves mental depression, comfort, fatigue, and sleepiness. It can help to you that to fight against sleepiness. Relieves your mental depression and reduces appetite. It can makahatag siya gana ug kaon. How it taken? Orally, as tablet or capsule. Effects of amphetamine: wakefulness, increased alertness, and initiative. Dangers: dependence, overdose, bizarre behavior. Example, shabu or methamphetamine, hydrochloride. Street name: poor man's cocaine, S, shabs, ubas, siopaw, sha, or ice. What it is methamphetamine? It is a white odorless crystalline powder with a better numbing taste. The taste of the shabu is bitter. How it taken? Ingestion, inhalation, chasing the dragon, sniffing injection, or smoke. These are the procedure how to take shabu. So effects of shabu: general is anxiety, irritability, irrational behavior. Long term: psychosis similar to schizophrenia, difficulty in concentrating, loss of interest in sex. Physical: chest pain, irregular heartbeat, hypertension, convulsion, and going to death. It is danger? Yes. Injection from contaminated needles may be lead to risk of infections, phlebitis, septicemia, AIDS, and etc. Second classification: hallucinogens are drugs which affect sensation, thinking, self-awareness, and emotion. Changes in time and space perception, delusions, and hallucination may be mild or overwhelming depending on dose and quality of drug. Example is ecstasy. The street name of ecstasy is Adam, Essence, and Herbals. How it taken? Swallowing or inhalation. Effects of ecstasy: exaggerated emotions makes HR and BP hike up, or it might make you a hyper person. Dries the mouth, stiffens arms, legs, jaws, dilates pupils of the eye, causes faintness, chills, sweating, and nausea. This is the effects of ecstasy. It's ecstasy danger? Ecstasy is a danger? Yes, it can really kill. Second example, LSD or lysergic acid diethylamide. So the street name of LSD is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Wedding Bells, Acid, White Sugar, Lightning, Cubes, Brain Eaters. So what is LSD? LSD is a semi-synthetic alkaloid substance extracted from a fungus which grows on rye, wheat, and other grains, odorless, tasteless, and colorless. So what is the effects of LSD? Physical dilated pupils, flushed face, increased BP, and etc. So LSD is danger. LSD may cause abnormal amount of breakage of chromosomes of WBCs that carry genes which may result to miscarriage and birth defects. So the third example is marijuana. The street name of marijuana is Mary Jane, Flower, Pampapogi, Brown Nines, Damo, Pot, Tea, Joint, and Dope. So what is marijuana? Comes from cannabis sativa L. Indian, looks like fine green tobacco, just like I discussed earlier. So how it taken? How marijuana taken? So marijuana smoke in pipes, cigarettes, can be taken in food, made into candy, sniff in powder form, mixed with honey and butter. So what are the effects of marijuana? So the effect is, there are two types, the immediate and long-term effect. So the immediate effect is faster heartbeat, bloodshot eyes or red eye, dry mouth. So the long term is chest pain, temporary loss of fertility, cancer, marijuana burnout. So marijuana is danger. Marijuana slows down users' mental and psychomotor activities. Long term use may lead to psychological dependence, may lead to cancer. So the third pharmacological classification is depressant. So depressant are drugs which depress or lower the function of the central nervous system. There are types of depressant. First is narcotics, a drugs which induces sleep or hypnotize or stupor and relieve pain. Something that smooths or cause a sensation of mental numbness. Narcotics, this includes opiums, opioids, heroin, morphine, and codeine. So tranquilizers, the second type of depressant, tranquilizers. Tranquilizers, a substance that reduces anxiety, ease tension, and relax muscles. Third types of depressants, substance that reduce anxiety, sedatives and hypnotics. It can calm the nerves, reduce tension, and induce sleep. So example is barbiturates and alcohol. Alcohol, same like Red Horse, something that alcohol. So third is inhalants. Fourth rather. Fourth is inhalants. These are any liquid, solid, or mixed substance that has the property of releasing toxic vapors or fumes. Example is solvent, glue, gasoline, kerosene, paint, thinner, or naphthalene. So the common example of this is the rugby boys that we can see in the park, in the baywalk, or something in the street, that using solvent or gasoline or glue. So what are the considered dangerous drugs? So let's tackle about dangerous drug. So dangerous drug is a substance affecting the central nervous system, which when taken into the human body alters mood. So dangerous drug is a substance affecting the central nervous system, which taken into human body brings about physical, emotional, or behavioral changes in a person taking it. It is a substance which when taken into human body alters mood, perception, feelings, and behavior. So first is prohibited drugs. Prohibited drugs, which includes opium and its active components and derivatives such as heroin and morphine, coca leaf and its derivatives, specifically cocaine, alpha and beta eucaine, hallucinogenic drugs such as mescaline, lysergic and acid diethylamide or LSD, and other substances producing similar effects, Indian hemp and its derivatives. All preparations made from any of the foregoing and other drugs and chemical preparation, whether natural or synthetic, with the psychological effects of a narcotic or hallucinogenic drug, as amended by BP 179 dated on March 2, 1982. So prohibited drug is like shabu, marijuana, and etc. Regulated drug. So regulated drug, which includes self-inducing sedatives such as secobarbital, phenobarbital, pentobarbital, barbital, and barbital, and amorbarbital, and any other drug which contains salt and or a derivative of a salt of barbituric acid, any salt isomer or salt of an isomer of amphetamine such as benzedrine or benzedrine, or any drug which produces psychological action similar to amphetamine, and hypnotic drugs such as metacolon, nitrazepam, and any other compound producing similar sociological effects, as amended by number 163 dated March 14, 1980. So the third is volatile substance. So volatile substance is a liquid or mixed substance having the property releasing toxic vapors or fumes, or any chemical substance which when sniffed or smelled, inhaled, or introduced into the sociological system of the body produce and induce a condition of intoxication, inebriation, excitement, stupefaction, and etc. So there are characteristics of drug dependency. So first is physical dependence. The body physical system changes until the body needs that particular drug in order to function. Mental or psychological dependence. A need of drug in order to feel good, to get better, or feel normal. Third is idiosyncrasy or side effect. This is the causes or the side effects of the drugs taking it. So first is use. Refers to the act of injecting intravenously or intramuscularly, or of consuming either by chewing, smoking, sniffing, eating, swallowing, drinking, or otherwise introducing into sociological system body any of dangerous drugs. Sell. Sell means the act of giving dangerous drugs, whether for money or any other material consideration. That was the end of chapter 6. Chapter 6, tackling about drugs. Second chapter is chapter 7. The examination of dangerous drugs. So, what is drug identification? It's a branch of forensic chemistry that deals with the scientific examination of drugs and volatile substance. Drug identification is usually conducted by a forensic chemical officer to determine the presence of dangerous drug on submitted specimens. The forensic chemist or chemical officer also conducts drug tests on the body fluids of suspected drug pushers and uses users to determine the presence of dangerous drug metabolites. So, drug identification is the examination of drugs taken by the chemist, forensic chemist, or chemical officer. Example for this is SOCO or the PDEA, taking the drugs and testing the drugs and examine the users who taking the drugs. There are forms of dangerous drugs. So, drugs are in a various forms. This includes tablets, capsules, liquid, powder, brick or decks of marijuana, crushed leaf, and uprooted plants. So, there are methods of examination: qualitative examination and quantitative examination. Steps common to qualitative and quantitative methods. First is selection method to be used, physical tests, sampling, sample preparation, chemical tests, confirmatory examination. 7. Calculation and interpretation of dates. And lastly is drawing of conclusion and writing report. These are the steps to qualitative and quantitative methods. There are two phases in the examination of alleged classified dangerous drugs. Screening test or preliminary test, also known as the color test. This test is non-specific and preliminary in nature. It is employed to reduce the family or group of drug to the small and manageable number. Screening test includes a series of color tests, producing characteristic colors for each family or group of drugs. This is done by adding specific reagent to a known sample in a spot plate. Screening test is a quite simple to perform even by investigator in the field. As a matter of fact, field test investigation courses, test reagents, and basic apparatus are commercially available. So, color reaction. Upon addition of specific reagents to a sample of dangerous drugs, a specific color reaction is produced, such as cannabis and cocaine. So, cannabis is violet, fast blue basalt, or purple red. Cocaine, cobalt thiocyanate test or CT test. It can turn on colored blue. Scott test or modified CT test, reagent 1. It can turn into blue. Reagent 2 is pink. Reagent 3 is blue. So, Wagner test. Second is Wagner test. Wagner test or brown specific test for cocaine. Diazepam or Zimmermann test, reddish purple or pink. Results, reddish purple or pink. Some benzodiazepine derivative do not have color with this test. So, hydrochloric acid. The color of hydrochloric acid is yellow. Vitally Morin test turns into yellow-orange. So, opium. Morphis is violet. Ferric sulfate, brownish purple. Mic, blue to green. Nitric acid, orange to red and to yellow. Morphine or morphine. Morphine is a marquis, violet to reddish purple. Codeine, mic, blue to green. Nitric acid, orange to yellow. Heroin, blue to green. Second test is confirmatory test. Confirmatory test is the method. Confirmatory test is a method employed to confirm the results and the screening preliminary test. This test involves the application of an analytical procedure to identify the presence of a specific drug or metabolites. This is independent of the screening test, and which use techniques and chemical principles different from that of the initial test is in order to ensure reliability and accuracy. Third is chromatography. This is the process of separating mixture and comparing the migration of each component with a standard sum Chromatographic techniques include gas chromatography, thin layer chromatography, high pressure liquid chromatography. What is gas chromatography? So it is a separate technique. The mobile phase in gas separation is based on the difference in migration rates among sample components. So spectroscopy, a confirmatory method whereby light is used to identify the sample specimen. Fourier or transform infrared spectroscopy or FTIR, used for the identification of pure organic substance, identifies organic substance, particularly dangerous drugs and explosive ingredients based on their characteristic functional groups. In layman's term, the resulting spectrum could be referred to as the fingerprints of the substance. Ultraviolet visible spectroscopy, used for screening of dangerous drugs in urine specimen. Examination of urine specimen or examination of the urine. The rate of excretion from the body depends on the drug's solubility in fat. Water-soluble drugs such as cocaine are excreted quickly, while fat-soluble drugs such as marijuana may take several weeks or months before excretion. Drug tests must be conducted to apprehended. So, if the person taking the shabu ay the cocaine or marijuana, they must be conducted in drug test. So, validity test or urine specimen. Validity test is conducted to determine the integrity of the samples. Examine your urine. The reasons for conducting validity tests. In case of unobserved urine collection, when there is a suspicion that the urine specimen has been tampered. So there are different types of tampered urine specimen. First is adulterated, a specimen containing either a substance that is not a normal constituent for the type of specimen and containing an indigenous substance of a concentration that is not a normal psychological concentration. Second is diluted. Refers to a specimen with less than normal psychological constituents. Substitute specimen which has been derived through switching or replacement of the original sample. There are ways to adulterate urine samples. First is addition of salt, addition of juice, addition of detergent, addition of bleach and other oxidizing adulterants, and lastly is addition of illicit drugs. There are ways to substitute a urine sample. First is using from friends or other persons not using drugs may be used as substitute specimen. Replace sample with other substance similar to urine in appearance. So there are two ways to dilute a urine specimen. First is internal dilution. Intake of plenty of water before collection of drinking of herbal tea. Second is external dilution, addition of water previously collected urine. When do we consider urine specimen is invalid? So, last is urine specimen is considered invalid under the following circumstances. First is adulterated, substituted, or diluted. Second is improperly collected, handled, and stored. Improperly and stored. Lastly is improperly documented. Next chapter is chapter 4. Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is witness. So what is witness? A witness is a person who sees an event, typically a crime or accident, take place. A witness in court may be an ordinary or expert witness. Under the law, an ordinary witness must have following classification. First is, he must have the organ and power to perceive. Second, perceiving can make known his perception to others. Third is, he does not fall in any of the exception provided by law or 1 to 3 rules of court. The opinion of a witness regarding a question of science, art, or trade where he is skilled therein may be received in evidence. This kind of evidence is called the testimony and expert witness. There are distinctions between ordinary and expert witness. So the distinction of ordinary witness first is can only state what his sense have perceived. Second, may not be skilled on the line he is testifying. Third, cannot testify on things or fact he has not perceived except those provided for by law. Distinction about expert witness. First is state what he has perceived and also give his opinion, deduction or conclusion to his perception. Second is must be skilled in the art, science, or trade he is testifying. Third is testify on things which he has not seen by giving his opinions, deduction or conclusions on the statements of facts. There are probative value of expert testimony. Whether courts are or not bound by testimony of an expert depends upon the nature of the subject of inquiry. If the subject of inquiry comes within the general knowledge of the judge, the latter will not be bound by the conclusion of the experts. However, when the subject of inquiry is of such as nature that layman can have no knowledge thereof, as for instance, the determination of parentage through DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid test, the court must depend on the result of the examination of an expert. There are qualifications of an expert witnesses. First is Expert witnesses have degree of learning of what is witness. Second is expert witness, the basis and logic of his conclusion, and the other proof of case. That's all for my report. Thank you, Sir Gamali.